Hi there, it's Richard Little, your land partner once again. I want to talk today about Land Reg and what we use from Land Reg for the initial assessment. So most of you probably know what Land Reg is, I don't need to really explain that. What people don't do often is download all the documents that you can actually get. So initially, in the initial assessment that we're looking for, we're just looking for effectively register of title, so the title deed and the title plan. So it's two different things. They should cost you £3 each. Now, make sure that if you're doing this either through the .gov.uk website. If it's anything else like Land Reg Online, etc., you'll end up paying stupid amounts of money for something that you can do relatively simple yourself. If you use platform software like Land Insight and Nimbus, they have a facility whereby you can purchase within there, and my understanding is they still cost you £3. We don't use those platforms currently, that software currently. We use e-services at Land Reg, which is very useful. Enables you to purchase as many title documents as you need in one go, and effectively they bill you weekly or daily or whatever. You have a variable direct debit VDD set up, but it also accesses you to other information on the Land Reg website, which is quite useful. We actually use it as part of our sourcing, part of our sort of looking at sites, acquiring sites, and I don't do that. Somebody else does that, but it is quite useful. So you have to sign up to e-services, and most people should be able to get an account. It's not too onerous to do that. But in terms of for the initial assessment, what we're looking for firstly is we want some indication of any restrictions, so any restrictive covenants that might be actually in the title document. Could be all sorts of things really. Now, I will say at this point that although the title document has got lists of restrictions, it's got property register on it, it's got the registered owners, if you like. It's not exhaustive. There are other things that will be could be relevant, particularly some of the covenants. Most of them should be on there, but not all on there. So the first thing in terms of Land Reg documents is don't believe that is it and everything is on there, because it isn't, and it often isn't. So just be mindful of that. But at this point, we're only looking at Land Reg documents for the initial assessment. So we're really looking at who the registered owners are. Could be a company, could be individuals. It won't generally name more than 4 individuals. So if you see that there's 4 individual owners, there could be more. Of course, what it also doesn't do, it might tell you under the official ownership who it is, but it doesn't tell you who's actually got beneficial interest. So it could be lots of people, and rightly or wrongly, people hold land in different names, and there might be different family members' names. So you never actually know. It's not actually a absolute. It's not the absolute. What would we say? It isn't definitive in terms of the owner is, but it's a guide, and it's generally what we use, and we generally write to the people that are registered as the owners on the Land Reg document. Sometimes it will tell you what the price was paid at a certain point. It will also show other restrictions in terms of charges on charges register. Also show you those, so that will show you things like maybe if there's a loan against it, and all sorts of other restrictions. If there's a restriction on somebody selling it for whatever reason, without certain people being informed, so it gives us a bit of an idea. Might tell us if there's a lender, for instance, on the piece of land. It might tell us who that lender is, or certainly who one of the names are. But obviously, lots of lenders have all sorts of brand names that they lend under. So you just simply Google them, and it will come up, and it will say, what this one is actually. I can't read it. Took my glasses off, but you know, so it's useful. It's useful in discussions with a vendor potentially. It won't tell you what the amount is or anything like that. Another, if it's a company as well, sometimes you'll find out if they're not on Land Reg, but a good cross check is there's a charge against the company that's registered at company's house. So that's sometimes a cross check. Sometimes they're at company's house and not on Land Reg. Sometimes they're at Land Reg and not on company's house. But anyway, you get the idea. So all we're really looking for in that initial assessment is there any reasons, any problems here. So yeah, on the restrictive covenants, for instance, you'll see a lot of historical ones that, well, you know, nothing on this property can be used for anything other than a dwelling house, etc., etc. Now, many restrictive covenants can actually be indemnified against, and after a while you'll get a bit of an idea which ones can, which ones can't. But if there's anything that's worrying you, that is a conversation with your lawyer. So they'll have a much better idea. And if you are going to look to indemnify, there's a right time and a wrong time to indemnify. In fact, there's a right time and then a time you can't do that during the whole purchase process. And it does depend on the nature of it. We took out, there was a restrictive covenant on the use of a property that we've now got on site, and it cost us, I think, I'm going to say $5,000, something like that, just to actually indemnify against a covenant. And the covenant really was quite unlikely for anybody to probably exercise that covenant, as it went back 120 years, something like that. But for us, on a multi-million-pound project, a $5,000 fee just to think, oh well, we've ruled that out completely. So it's an early indication of potentially some of the fees that you might also might be involved in the project as well. Now, the title plan generally shows the boundary. What you need to do is if you're downloading the title plan, is download it in colour. Now, most title documents are pretty much black and white, but there are an awful lot of colours that can be used. Typically, the green one's quite a common one, which means that a portion of the said land has been perhaps removed at a previous occasion. That might tell us a little bit more, because then we can look at that title document and see what ownership that's gone into. The one thing that we also do in the initial assessment is we will actually look at Land Reg, the documents to adjacent, to bounding properties, to see whether they're in the same ownership or who might own them. It just gives us a bit more information when we're talking direct to the vendor. So what we're really looking to do, as I say, just get information, and you will need the Land Reg documents if the project goes forward, and you actually need to get some finance. So pretty much part of every finance form, application form, will be the Land Reg document. And if you talk to brokers and direct to lenders, you'll be amazed at the percentage that never send that off, and that always suggests that they never had it. So they have to go back and ask for it. And if you don't, it's pretty basic. It's pretty low investment, say £6. You know, it's pretty low investment. I say we'll probably Land Reg all the adjacent ones. I think I can't remember exactly, but I think our record is probably something like 50 or so. In fact, I had one done the other day. I think that was seven. So somebody's landing 7, so it's still 42 quid, you know, so it's still not a lot of money, and from them 7 I get a lot of information. So there might be information rights away and that type of thing. So really the Land Reg is the simplest thing to do in terms of your due diligence, if you like, or initial assessment as we call it. It's a simple thing to do, and I'm absolutely amazed at how many people don't do it, and then they're surprised to find out a little bit later on, when perhaps they've agreed and they're going to their solicitor and they're sitting down and are about to exchange, or in the lead up to exchange, and they said, oh, did you know there's a restricted covenant because of this? And you know, talk to the lawyers, get them to tell you how many times that happens as well. So all I'm talking about is wise up, everybody. Make sure that you do download the Land Reg stuff, because it's so useful anyway. But you know, you really need, if you don't understand it, and then the more of them you read, the more you'll understand. But yes, it's not in the English language as most of us use on a daily basis, but it's still decipherable. And actually now there's quite good explanations on some of the terminology just by Googling it. Yeah. Also on the Land Reg website itself, there's some good stuff on there, what the various colours that I mentioned before mean. There's hatches and browns, and some people it means right away over your land, and there's all sorts of things, so as I say, if you don't do anything else on the initial assessment as we suggest that you do, then this is the absolute first, and that this is the definite one really. So in conclusion, it's a pretty short bit really, but as I say, it's such a key thing for us, and a very minimal investment. So Land Reg, make sure it's .gov.uk or there or thereabouts. You look for e-services is what you want to register for if you're going to do any amount of these. Otherwise, the other way is quite laborious. We use the whole Land Reg site as part of the sourcing, as part of finding sites, etc. And I think that's possibly been on another video, or will be on another video at a later date. Download the title. And the register and the plan. That's two things, £3 each, right? And just download some. You practice on your own stuff. Download your own. When was the last time you downloaded it? The other thing about this as well is if you are, as often with property development, is if you've been in negotiations for a long time, months, well, it doesn't have to be that long to be fair, 3-6 months, something like that, before you go too far on the deal structure and before you actually, sign anything, just do another Land Reg. Yeah, because somebody might have come along and put another charge on it or whatever. It might have changed. So don't use one that you did when you first found the site 12 months ago, when you're talking in negotiations. So get a fresh one. So it's a small amount of money. So, yeah, that's been Richard Little from Your Land Partner, talking about Land Reg and Land Reg documents. And we will be seeing you again on another subject on another occasion. Take care.